Alright, so today we're going to be covering domain and range from a graph. We already covered domain and range from points on the last time I saw you, which this class was Tuesday. So domain and range from points was very easy, and most of you guys did really awesome in it, because all you had to do was identify all the x values for domain and then all the y values for range, and then tell me if it was a function or not. And you guys did very well there. Today we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to continue with domain and range, but it's going to be from a graph. So x is domain, y is range. So if I ask you for range, don't give me an x. X is domain. Now, if I list all the possible x values, it's going to be too many. So when we have a continuous function like this, or a line, we're going to use inequality signs. Now, it's easiest if you put the minimum number on the left and the maximum number on the right. That way, if I'm using inequality signs, I know that the bigger number is on the right, my inequality sign always opens to the bigger number and away from the smaller number. An easy way to remember domain is to think of limits. My graph is within these limits, like city limits. So from left to right, what is the lowest value on the x? Well, all I gotta do is follow it, make a line going down, and this is the lowest or smallest value, -3. What is the highest? It goes on the x-axis. Again, we're looking at domain, and we follow the graph, and it stops right here on the +3. So that is my maximum value. My domain is between these 2 points, meaning all possible x values are between -3 and 3. Does that make sense? Okay. So just something to help us out, we went from left to right on domain. Left to right. Minimum to maximum on the x-axis. For range, we're going to do the same thing. But range we know is y. Again, if I put the minimum on the left and the maximum on the right, then my inequalities will always open to the right. So we're going to see how low does this graph go, right? Because the y-axis is from smallest to biggest, up and down, right? So how low does this graph go? Where's the limit? -3. Very good. Right here. This is the lowest it goes. My y value, -3. And then how high does it go? What is the maximum value that this graph goes on the y-axis? 3. So those are my values. -3 to 3. So we went bottom to top for the range. One thing we do need to remember, and we went over that when we graphed inequality signs, is when we have a closed circle versus an open circle. When we have an open circle, it says it's equal to this value. When it's an open circle, it's only either greater than or less than, but not equal to. So it's easier if you just focus on the one that is equal to, because then we have to add a line to it. Well, if you look on domain, again, domain is left to right, then it's on the +3. So then we go to the +3, put an equals to. Then I look at the range. Range is bottom to top, and the equals to is on the bottom with the -3. So add an equal to the -3. Questions? No? Okay. Let's look at the next one. We're going to follow the same thing. Domain we said was left to right. we're going to go minimum to maximum. So inequality signs will open to the right. So Angel Acosta, what would be my limit on the left, or my value, or my minimum value for domain on the x-axis? Very good. Ooh, -3 right here. This is going by 2's. So -3 would be here. What do you mean? So 2, 4, -8. Very good. My limit on the left, or my minimum value for the x, -8. Gabriela, can you give me the limit on the right, or the maximum value for the domain? +6. Very good. All right. Jesus, can you help me out with the range? Range, we're going to go bottom to top. What is going to be the minimum value for the y? Remember, this is going by 2. -8 again. Very good. And then Maxine, can you give me the maximum value for the y? It's also 6. Very good. That's a maximum. So we kind of make our box. Limits on the left to right are domain. Limits bottom to top are range. Okay, remember, if it's an open circle, we leave it, the inequality. But if it's a closed circle, we're going to have to add an equals to. No. Sometimes they'll be moved a little bit down, a little bit up. So they're not always going to be the same numbers. Okay, so good question. You're going to have to follow the picture and see what the limits are. So you have to make your box and then look at the value where it crosses the y-axis for the range and the x-axis for the domain. Sometimes they're going to make it tricky, guys, and put the point right on the x-axis. Excuse me, on the y-axis. And that would make the x value 0, but most people are going to want to put a 6. You know, so just be careful. You know that domain is left to right, so focus on the x-axis, and then bottom to top is range, so focus on the y-axis. All right, so closed circle from left to right is on the left side, and that's at -8. So there should be an equals to right here with the -8 on domain. And then on the y-axis from bottom to top is on the top value, so that's +6. So on the +6 on the range, put the equals to. Question? Do you have a question? Yes. Well, the open circle does matter. You know that it's just greater than, not equal to. If it's a open circle, it's just greater than. If it is a closed circle or a solid line, which we're going to see over here, then it's equal to. Lindsay, question? Oh, okay. All right. You kind of get it? Más o menos? All right, we'll do some examples at the end and we'll see if we can get it. Number 3, we're going to do domain again. We're going to go left to right. Left to right. So how far does this graph go to the left, Santiago? How far does it go left? -2, right here. Brandon, how far does it go right? Okay, it looks like it gets right before 3, right? But check this out. There's an error. Arrow. What does an arrow mean? It keeps going. So is there a limit on the right side? No. So we only have a limit on the left, -2. I have a minimum. But my max, it doesn't stop here. So we're going to put, what do you guys put? Very good. We're going to put the infinite sign, positive infinity. we said if it's a closed circle or if it's a solid line, then we're going to put the equal to. So please put the equal to on the -2. Okay, some people understand how to write it a little bit easier this way, minimum to maximum. You can also do it this way. There's only one limit, right? Because all this one's going to the right. So then you can only put one number, -2. But it's going to the right, and the right we know it gets bigger, so it's greater than, and it is a solid line, so greater than or equal to. So both of these answers are correct. You might see these as answer choices. So you might see it this way, or you might see it this way. If you want to write it the shorter way in your paper, that's fine. I don't mind for your homework. Or you can write it like this, minimum to maximum. Either way, it's correct. All right, this next part, most people think it's the most difficult one, but it's actually the easiest one, and I'll show you why. Matthew Hernandez, how low does this graph go? Say that again. How low? What is our minimum value on the y? Can somebody help him out? Okay, it looks like it definitely passes a 2.5, and it definitely passes a 4. To now, it doesn't stop. You see how it's an arrow? What did we just say an arrow means? It keeps going. So it keeps going to the bottom. What about the top? Very good. So if it's going forever on the top and on the bottom, then my answer is you can go negative infinity to positive infinity. You can just put all real numbers. Sometimes you'll see this cursive R. Sometimes you'll see this R with 2 sticks for the R. It just looks kind of funny, but that represents all real numbers. This is usually the one I see. Or you can see negative infinity to positive infinity, okay? Which is all the same thing. Whichever one you think is easier to write for your homework, I'll take. So arrow to arrow is just all real numbers, and that's it. Super easy, right? Infinity to infinity, arrow to arrow. Arrow to arrow. All right, so questions on this one? All right, then having just said that, Xander, don't let me down. What is the domain for number 4 if it's left to right? What is the domain? Left to right. What is it? Very good. So again, all real numbers or infinity, and I'm just going to put this R to represent all real numbers. Very good. We went from arrow to arrow, so our domain is all real numbers. All right. Now let's help me out on this one, Carlos Mesa. From bottom to top, what is the lowest or the minimum value for the y? How low does this graph go? Negative infinity is correct. Again, if I put my minimum on the left, my maximum on the right, inequality should open right. Dean, how high does this graph go? Negative? Positive 4 is correct. So bottom to top, we go arrow to 4. So bottom to top, so it's in negative infinity to 4. Very good. Again, remember it is a solid line, so go ahead and put the equals to. Oops. Okay, so range, bottom to top. Very good, guys. You did better than my last class. All right, turn it over. All right, so I'm not going to go over these because that's exactly like your homework. Cross out these on the notes, but we're going to use this graph right here. So I'm going to give you a criteria, and you're going to draw a picture. That's how we're going to do it in our homework. So let's say that instead of them giving you an inequality like they did here, they give you a verbal description. So if I say something like, domain is all real numbers greater than or equal to -4 and less than 3. And I want you to draw me a picture that meets this criteria. But there's not just one for the domain, there's also one for the range. And for the range, I tell you, it doesn't only have to meet this domain, it also has to meet this range. And I write it, just to make it difficult, this way. I put the max on the left and the min on the right. Since the inequalities are opening to the 5, then it's still correctly written. And I ask you to draw me a picture that fits both of these criteria. That's going to be in your homework. This is how I want you to approach the problem. So we know domain is left to right. And this -4 is my minimum. Because it says it has to be greater than that. And then less than 3, so this must be my maximum. So -4 is here on the graph. So I know that's one of the limits. +3 is here on the x-axis, right? So we know domain is x. So on the x-axis, I'm going to draw my limits, the ones they give me. Then I'll do the ones for the range. The maximum number is 5, and the minimum number is -2. So then maximum number 5, minimum number -2, and these are just numbers I made up so we can have a criteria. So I know that my picture, whatever I'm going to draw, has to be in between these parameters. There's one more thing I need to remember though. Equal to. This says y is greater than or equal to -2. So if it's equal to, what do I have to remember? I have to put closed circle, and then this one has to be an open circle, right? Because it's just less than, or what 5 is greater than y, or y is less than 5. Check this out though. This is greater than or equal to -4. So this will also have a closed circle. And then here it's just less than, so this one will have an open circle. So I'm going to make a little note here on my graph. I know where -2 is on the y, which is here. I'm going to have a closed circle. And on the 5, I'm going to have an open circle. And then for the x, the domain on the -4 is a closed circle. So here, closed circle. And on the +3, an open circle. Open circle. Well, in order for me not to mess up, this is what I'm going to do. There's a closed circle at -2, a closed circle at 4. So this is where they meet. This is where I'm going to put my closed circle. And then over here is my open circle, and over here is my open circle, and they would meet right here. So that's where my open circle goes. So my linear function, or whatever the graph looks like, I can make it a squiggly line if I want, has to be between these 2 points, these 2 parameters, right? Closed circle, open circle, and that's where they'll meet. So now it makes this true. It fits the criteria. Questions that I need to go over that you did not understand? No? All right. Let me send you some questions.